but it's also a target acquisition mode. So you'll notice that this Covenant Patrol here, they're all highlighted in red. Makes it really easy to see them in the dark city streets. I'll probably let Curtis go ahead and just dispatch of these guys. Also, I'll point out he's using a new weapon in the game, Silenced SMG. It's a really good medium-range suppression weapon. ODSTs have another new gun on their disposal too, which is a new pistol that we have, Silenced Pistol. This is a throwback kind of to the Halo 1 pistol in a lot of ways.
You know what's funny, because like until they said it at the press conference, it was like, I forgot all about the pistol in the original game, but yeah, I love the pistol.
Oh, well, most of the Halo fans have not forgotten. In fact, we've heard about it for years, so we're kind of bringing that back in a lot of ways. This thing's awesome to use. It'll fire as fast as you can pull the trigger. Really devastating, really accurate. ODSTs, though, are a little more vulnerable than Master Chief, so you know the combat, while it still very much feels like Halo, it's got a little bit of different nuances to it. You're going to want to be a little bit more sort of careful in your encounters. You don't want to just charge in headlong like a Spartan would. Because kind of once you jump into combat, you're not so sure you're going to get back out of it okay. So certainly as you explore the city in the game, it's definitely, there's just a little more tension, a little more just meticulous watching, planning your encounter, making the right move, making your shots count. You kind of notice I'll talk a little bit about the aesthetic of the game. The team's definitely going for a little more of a film noir, and it's kind of a detective story in our minds because you really are sort of piecing together clues of a mystery. So that's been reflected a lot in terms of the environment, the aesthetics, the art style. Even
you talk about that mystery at all?
Yeah, I can tell you that definitely some stuff's going on in the city. And as the rookie, first of all, you don't know where your squad mates are. So if something happened, they're somewhere else. Your primary objective is to really search the city world, find these clues that are going to help you piece that together. But I can tell you that there's always a little more going on than meets the eye. So as the game plays out, you're going to start to realize that there's a lot more at stake in the city than probably you originally thought there was. I don't want to spoil too much for the fans, though.
Do you mind if I start throwing audience questions your way? Because I know, as you know...
Yeah, let me tell you about one more cool thing real fast. I said you were alone in the city. You're not. That's not quite true. I think I hear this phone ringing right now. If Curtis turns on the visor, it not only helps you find enemies, but in this case, it's letting us know that this phone booth is something of interest. So when Curtis picks up the phone, basically we're linking up with the superintendent, and this is a citywide artificial intelligence that runs the city, everything from sanitation to traffic lights. And the city's been sort of cleared out of civilians, but he's still around. He's been monitoring what's happening. He has cameras everywhere. So
sees you.
Yeah, and he's basically going to kind of help be our ally as we play through this game. First of all, he just gave us access to a citywide map. Oh. So cool thing that Curtis can show you here is just the size and scale of this environment. This is probably the biggest environment that's ever been in a Halo game before. It's totally wide open, and half of the campaign really revolves around you navigating your way through the city, trying to find these clues, fighting with Covenant patrols along the way, and there's just a lot of cool exploration to be done. But the superintendent's going to be a great ally. Here he's letting us know that this blue circle says, hey, you know what, at the Oni Alpha site, you probably should go there and check it out. I think there's something there of interest. So the superintendent is guiding us in that direction.
So, I mean, would you say then, you know, the superintendent is akin to our good friend Cortana?
Yeah, at a base level, it's a little bit like Cortana, except this is kind of what's referred to as a dumb AI. This is a much more rudimentary system, but it is in the regard of sort of a helping hand. Yeah, very similar. And then the other thing, as you're playing the game, you'll notice that the superintendent has a way to sort of contact with you in a little more overt ways, such as taking control of the city's signs and lights. We'll see here the superintendent's kind of, again, gently nudging us along in our journey, helping us sort of get to where we need to go. Curtis can sort of move forward here, and we have a little cheat built in just for the purposes of time where we can skip ahead further in the city to where that beacon was and kind of give you an example of how the game shifts into the other side of the campaign. So we're at the Oni Alpha site now, and that blue glow in our HUD lets us know, hey, you know what, we're in the vicinity of something of importance. We see a building on the horizon, it's on fire, we see a lot of damage, the space tether that would have connected to a space station's been destroyed, some bad stuff's clearly gone on here. If Curtis activates his visor, we'll notice that, hey, what's that? There's something on the ground.
Oh, this is the remote detonator.
Yep, so that's a clue object that, which I mentioned. So basically when you pick this up, it'll go into a cinematic.
Stand by for 7 seconds. Online clock. We're way off course. We're heading exactly where I need to go.
Yeah, so what we're going to do right now is go back and play as one of the other characters, one of our ODST squad mates. So the guy that we're going to go play as is Dutch. He's one of the guys in our squad. But the cool thing is, like you'll notice, like when you're playing as the rookie, you're playing at night, you're alone. You got to be really careful about how you engage the enemy. When you come back as Dutch, it's actually only 2 hours since you've sort of made your initial drop into the city. Whereas when you're the rookie, it's later on in the day. It's like 6 hours later. And so it's really cool because you're sort of finding out what's going on at different points in time. And so basically you're trying to solve this mystery of what happened to my squad. And so now we're basically going to go back and start to find out what happened to Dutch.
So kind of like Lost style, 2 weeks or whatever before, right?
It's an incremental, you're jumping back a matter of hours, and you kind of do that back and forth until eventually the timelines converge. And at that point, sort of the game starts to move forward, and the mystery starts to come together, and hopefully if you do your job right, you might just turn the tide of the war against the Covenant.
That is,
yeah, so you can see it's a lot different. It's during the day. I've actually got my pal Mickey, who's one of the guys in my ODST squad. We've got some other friendlies back here, but I'm actually like right in the middle of a pretty big fight on this bridge that actually didn't exist when we came to it at night.
Yeah, the building that was burning and all the destruction it's here just a couple hours after this point.
Yeah, so we're getting shelled pretty good. There's a lot of Covenant here. These missions during the day like this are the more high action, like it's really intense, and so I could stay here and fight, but I don't really have a lot of ammo. I mean, I've got a power weapon, the Spartan laser, but what I really want to do is set these charges so we can blow the bridge and keep this Covenant from coming across. So you kind of also notice, like in the background, hey, that building looks like it's still intact, so maybe you're going to find out what happened to that later.
Since you guys play with that right here in Halo ODST all by itself, how much, if any, do you guys hook into the original storylines that we know and love?
Well, this is definitely an all-new story, but the game itself, the setting takes place before Halo 3 starts, but it's about the midpoint way through Halo 2. So if you recall, the Covenant arrived in Halo 2, they hit Earth pretty hard. They left the city promptly, and Master Chief took off and followed them. Right when that subspace event occurs, that's where our game picks up right now. So it sort of nestles right in between the two games. It's a side story, but for fans of Halo 2 and 3, I think it'll add a little more backstory and insight to those experiences. So we can switch gears in a minute and talk about Firefight. Maybe if you want to take a couple questions while we're doing that.
I'd love to,
We're
yeah.
game, yeah, bring it on.
Totally, let's go for it. I have Eric Williamson out of Exton, Pennsylvania. Is Recon armor available in the game by unlocking some achievements? Also, can you unlock other armor like in Halo 3?
So yeah, Recon is actually one of the more subtle features of the game, but just for people who don't know, Recon armor is currently available in Halo 3 multiplayer only to people that are manually granted it by Bungie, and these are people that win contests or that do really cool things in the community. But once ODST is released, it will complete a series of achievements called the Vidmaster achievements. These entail doing some things in Halo 3, doing some things in Halo 3 multiplayer, and then doing things in ODST. And once you do all 7 achievements and finish them, then you finally have the power to give Recon to yourself. So it's included, but you're going to have to work for it a little bit.
Sounds like a lot, actually.
And there is some new armor as it pertains to the multiplayer cooperative mode, Firefight. As you play through the campaign, you will be able to unlock armor for some of the primary characters that you'll be able to wear in Firefight.
Now, obviously, we're all familiar with the fact that you guys got a single-player campaign, and then you guys got multiplayer modes. Same offerings in the ODST, or you guys got some new game modes or anything?
Yeah, we have a new game mode, which we can talk about in just a second. I should mention that ODST, a lot of people maybe don't understand, it's actually has 2 discs inside of it. It's really 2 separate games. The ODST campaign experience, with the rookie and the squad and the city, and Firefight, which we'll talk about, that's 1 disc. The other disc, though, is the complete Halo 3 multiplayer experience. So that's got 24 maps on it.
The Mythic Map Pack on
Yep,
there.
but 3 of them are new and included with ODST. So that is classic Halo gameplay, multiplayer, the stuff people have come to love. We have 1 million people a day, roughly, that still play that. But 3 of those maps are new, one of which is a remake of Halo 2 favorite, Midship. So
oh, wow.
That'll be a nice little bonus for our fans. There's new achievements tied to those maps as well.
I don't know how much you condone this necessarily, but my 7-year-old son, his favorite game is, it goes between Halo 2 and Halo 3. Like, we played Halo 2, I guess we played Halo 1, Halo 2, leading up to the release of Halo 3. We played through Halo 3, and I mean, like, he loves those games, but it's funny because, like, he brings his other 7-year-old friends over to our house, and, like, you want to play Halo? And they're like, oh, yeah, and then, like, then they realize they're 7, they can't play Halo, and he's, like, just doing, you know, he's going all crazy. So, Jesse Cantelli out of Bayside, will the Halo Reach demo, sorry to jump from ODST to Reach, will the Halo Reach demo be released as soon as Halo ODST is released, or will it be released at a later date?
So we don't have an actual firm date for it yet. I don't anticipate it to be day and date with the game, though, but the Halo Reach beta, you will have to have your ODST disc to actually access the beta when it does become available. I can confirm that that beta will go live sometime between the release of ODST on September 22nd and